I'm writing this on behalf of a really special person in my life who is going through something that is beyond my comprehension. She is afraid, perplexed, and unsure of where to turn. So she has asked me to tell her tale in an anonymous manner. Please know that your remarks will reach her because she will be seeing all of your responses via me. Right now, she is in dire need of insight and perspective. My acquaintance is married to a Muslim man and is a Christian. Together, they have 3 kids, aged 4, 6, and 9. I truly do mean it when I say that their marriage was once lovely. Everyone looked up to them as a pair. The pair demonstrated that love, respect, and dedication could coexist in an interfaith marriage. I'll take you back to their beginning, since knowing who he was makes the current situation much more tragic. 8 years ago, during a neighborhood gathering, they were introduced by mutual friends. His knowledge, wit, and kindness drew her in right away. Her strength, tenderness, and compassion drew him in. They were honest about their religions from the start, when they first started conversing and later dating. She is a devoted Christian who attended church every Sunday as a child, regularly reads her Bible, and finds serenity in prayer. He was a devout Muslim who celebrated Ramadan, prayed, and honored his religious customs. They had lengthy, open discussions about what an interfaith marriage would entail before they became serious. They committed to respecting one another's beliefs. That neither would make an effort to convert the other. That they would expose their kids to both religions as they grew up, and let them to follow their own path as adults. Their foundation would be communication, love, and respect. As could be expected, both families were worried. Religious differences were a concern for her Christian parents. The same concerns were raised by his Muslim family. However, both families eventually gave their okay, since my friend and her husband were so dedicated to make marriage work and so truly appreciative of one another. They had a truly blissful marriage for the first 6 years. I saw them gracefully work through their differences. On Sundays, she would sometimes go to church with the children, and other times by herself. On Fridays, he would visit the mosque. They spent Eid and Christmas at home. They encouraged one another while they fasted, he during Ramadan, she during Lent. They discovered beauty in their various routes to faith and prayed in their own ways, sometimes in the same room. Both religions were taught to their children as they grew up. With equal curiosity, the oldest would inquire about both Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad. Islamic prayers and Christian hymns were taught to them. They realized that it was acceptable for Mommy and Daddy to love God in different ways. It was functioning. It was really working. Then, 8 months ago or so, something changed. My acquaintance noticed her husband growing more reclusive, though she is unsure of the precise beginning. More serious, less tolerant of the kids. He began going to the mosque more frequently, not just on Fridays for prayers. At first, she didn't give it any thought. I take it that people go through stages of more intense religious devotion? She herself had experienced times when she attended more Bible studies or church services. However, he started acting differently toward her after that. He began commenting on what she was wearing. Although she has always worn modest clothing, he started advising her to cover up more. That her jeans were too snug, because too much of her neckline was visible through her top. He warned her that wearing a dress to church was impolite and improper. He had never had a problem with her clothes before, so she was perplexed. He began disparaging her religious beliefs. First, a few brief remarks. Christians don't really understand God. Your Bible has been corrupted. You're teaching the children wrong things about Jesus. These weren't conversations or arguments like they used to be. Instead, they were condescending remarks that cut off dialogue. He ceased to observe Christian holidays. He had always assisted the children in decorating the tree, but he declined to do so last Christmas. He advised the kids not to celebrate Christmas because it is a pagan celebration. Mom, 9-year-old, perplexed by Daddy's abrupt declaration that Christmas was incorrect, came to Mom in tears. He started to exert control over the religious instruction of the kids. He demanded that they no longer accompany her to church. He was upset when they got home after she took them nevertheless, telling them that Islam was the only real road. He began taking them to the mosque more often. The kids felt nervous and perplexed, especially the oldest. They were perplexed as to why the equilibrium and acceptance they had always experienced had vanished so quickly. He started acting more and more harshly against her. He began by telling her that she had to adhere to his decisions because he was the head of the household as the spouse. They had always made decisions jointly, so this was new. He would interrupt her when she attempted to talk about something, telling her that his word was definitive. She was aware that his readings of religious scriptures were not typical of all Muslims, but he believed they were unquestionably true. He started putting pressure on her to become an Islamic convert. It started off as recommendations. You'd find more truth in Islam. Don't you want us to be united in faith? Then it got stronger. A proper Muslim man shouldn't be married to a non-Muslim. You're leading our children astray. If you really loved me, you'd convert. She made an effort to remind him of their premarital pact, of their pledge to honor one another's religious beliefs. He told her that he now had a deeper understanding of his faith and that he had been mistaken at the time because he had been too worldly. The psychological toll has been devastating. She expressed to me that she feels as though she is living with a stranger. When she reads her Bible, the man who used to hold her hand while she prayed in church now gives her a look that verges on disdain. The dad who used to make fun of their kids now gives them harsh lectures about religious laws they don't comprehend. She feels inadequate, incorrect, and imprisoned in her own house because of the man who vowed to love and respect her. Things worsened last month. He advised her to quit her job. They depend on her money, and she loves her work as a teacher. However, he claimed that a genuine Muslim wife stays at home. She reminded him that she is not a Muslim. He promised that she would abide by his rules as long as she resided in his home. She earns her own money and makes an equal contribution to their home. Yet all of a sudden, he treats her as though she has no voice. The kids are in pain. Her 9-year-old has begun experiencing panic episodes. The 6-year-old is now silent and reclusive. When the 4-year-old witnesses their parents fighting, they cry. What was once lovely and unifying in their home has turned into a source of conflict and anxiety, leaving them perplexed about religion. My friend has made every effort. She has attempted to have a calm conversation with him. She has attempted to inquire as to what transpired and what caused him to abruptly alter. He either says he's finally grasping his faith correctly or brushes off her inquiries. Marriage counseling has been recommended by her. He declined, claiming that a counselor wouldn't comprehend Islamic marriage customs. In an attempt to gain some understanding, she contacted some of his relatives. While they expressed sympathy, others stated they were unable to meddle in his marriage. In fact, some people agreed with his new position, arguing that he was justified in wanting his wife to convert and his kids to be reared as Muslims. She has attempted to get in touch with the imam at the mosque he frequents in the hopes of gaining insight into whether or not this understanding of marriage and faith is typical. She hasn't been able to schedule a meeting yet, and she doesn't even know what she would say. She's scared, fearful about the consequences for her marriage, fearful of the consequences for her kids, fearful that the man she loved has changed into someone she doesn't know. She is also perplexed. Has he adopted an extreme view? Or is this indeed what Islam teaches? Although she doesn't want to offend him, this isn't consistent with her understanding of Islam at the time of their marriage. She feels confined. She either loves him or the person he was. She does not wish to split up her family. She doesn't want her kids to grow up in a dysfunctional household. She can't, however, keep living this way. Watching her kids suffer from the stress, treading on eggshells and defending her beliefs in her own house. She wants to know if this is a typical occurrence in mixed marriages. Is it possible that something at the mosque, new acquaintances, or internet influences caused this shift? How does she manage this while safeguarding her kids' emotional health? Even if he declines, should she still insist on marriage counseling? Do interfaith couples in difficulty have access to resources specifically designed for them? How does she respect his beliefs while being steadfast in her own? Is it possible to get in touch with moderate Muslims who could provide him a different viewpoint? When does she think of leaving for the sake of herself and the kids? Has anyone ever had a partner who suddenly became more fervently religious? How did you deal with it? She is aware that this isn't an accurate representation of Islam or Muslims in general, and she doesn't intend to disparage either. She wants to know what might be going on with her husband, how to keep herself and her kids safe, and, ideally, how to turn him back into the guy he once was. Everything you write is being read by her. She needs to be assured that she is not insane, that her worries are legitimate, and that there may be a way forward that she hasn't yet recognized. Please contribute if you have any experience with religious extremism, interfaith marriages, abrupt personality changes in a spouse, or resources that could be useful. A lady and mother is making a valiant effort to save her family while defending herself and her kids. I appreciate you taking the time to read this and any advice you may provide.